Hi there, students. Preliminary. An adjective. Could also be a noun. Preliminary refers to something that comes before, something before the main event, before the action. And very often something that is preliminary is an introduction or a preparation for it. So preliminary results are the initial results, what you get by just looking at the numbers without calculating everything. It's something that comes before. It's an introduction for what follows. So preliminary findings about the drug indicate that it could be very useful, but we need to study it in more depth. Or a competition. You have preliminary rounds of a competition to eliminate the weaker players or the weaker teams and reduce the number. The preliminary rounds of the World Cup, or preliminary negotiations. You had to have negotiations about negotiations. These are the preliminaries. What are we going to talk about? What sort of things might be offered? Or in the law, a preliminary hearing is a hearing where where it's determined if there's enough evidence for a trial or not. So preliminary, introductory, preparatory, initial. Preliminary happening before a more important event. He made a few preliminary remarks and then announced the winners. Pilot studies preliminary to a full-scale study. Okay, so it's something that happens before. It's an introduction, a preparation for the main event. Any of a series of sports events that determine who is going to take place in the final. These would be the preliminary events. Okay, so something that's preliminary is something that is at the beginning. Something that precedes the main part. I think also let's deal with the preliminaries before we talk about the heart of the matter. Maybe the preliminaries, we need to identify ourselves. We need to prove our identities. We need to show that we actually represent the people we're talking to. The preliminaries, the beginning bits. So let's dispense with the preliminaries. Preliminary, coming before a more important event. Preliminary results show that the vaccine is effective. Preliminary results are very positive. Preliminary findings suggest an increased risk for old people. We need to qualify during the preliminary stages of the competition, to make a few preliminary remarks before, something coming before, something that is beforehand, something that runs before, that comes before. It's done in preparation for something fuller, for something more important, for something perhaps deeper. Okay, so this is just a preliminary draft. The bombardment was used as a preliminary to an infantry attack. He was eliminated in the preliminary rounds, the beginning rounds. Okay, so happening before something more important. The preliminary stages, a preliminary draft. Preliminary. Coming before and forming a necessary prelude to something. Preliminary studies. Okay, a preliminary match, a preliminary examination to get through further. a preliminary analysis, a preliminary approval, preliminary calculation, a preliminary diagnosis. The discussions were preliminary to producing a policy paper. She gave a preliminary report on the state of the project. The participants underwent preliminary training before the competition. So, preliminary, formality. 5.5 comes from Latin, praeliminarias, prae, before, and limen, the threshold. So before the threshold, before the door, before you actually get into something. So preliminary, initial, introductory, preparatory. Bye for now.